Hi everybody, it's Will NY4, and this is my third video in the series about how to use this fabulous mod that you see above me here called Manufacturing Meds and Chems by Betamax 76 to create an actual medical production facility in Starfield. In the first video, we came to Serpentis 4, and I built an outpost that enabled me to manufacture all 13 of the possible products that are included in Betamax's mod. Now, you know, Serpentis 4 is a beautiful planet, and I could do everything in a central production. I think almost half of the meds can be made just with the animals and plants on Serpentis. But you can look at video number 1 and get the more details about that. In the second video, we also did central production, but this time, since there are no plants and animals on this barren planet, Sirius 1, we brought in all the materials that had been harvested in other planets through cargo links, and then linked them up with the fabricators on the factory floor, as you can see. But in today's video, we're going to do a couple things differently. First of all, I'm going to start by explaining a daisy chain system in which we manufacture all of the meds off-site at different planets and then ship them in by cargo links to one central location where the few that require subsidiary products can also be assembled. And then secondly, we're going to do a thought experiment with Universal Stash, in which we run the entire system that we've been over in these 3 videos without any cargo links. So stay tuned for that. So here's what the daisy chain system looks like up in build mode. You can see there's a lot going on there, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's go over a few things about how this has been set up. So again, Manufacturing Meds and Chems by Betamax 76 is the mod we are using here. Here is the list of the recipes that Betamax has provided, and you can see that some require compound and some multiplex fabricators, but all of these ingredients can be harvested. Now, there are also recipes for aids and advanced meds that require products that you can't manufacture, so I've omitted those from the list. I only want to focus on the ones that I can use greenhouses and animal husbandry to actually make. Well, I created this cargo link system which shows you the meds that are being manufactured and where I'm making them. And I chose these planets, again, to try and maximize the local time, universal time ratio. Now, with all of organics in general, you have to settle for pretty low ratios. But in order to do this, I had to use 9 cargo links. Now, you know, this is outside of the limits for most people. So I had to use mods in order to break that supposed hard cap of 6. But the reason I had to do that was that even though you see that Masada 3 produces antibiotics and penicillin X, there is no way to sort them once they come back to headquarters. We don't have Magnus the Magnate sorting system, so I had to have a separate cargo link for each of them. So as a result, we have a lot of cargo links. On the other hand, once they come back to Sirius 1, you can see with that ratio of 97 days, and you'll see when we get down there, we create a lot of meds. So here's a more detailed chart of where all the materials are coming from, what are required to create each of the products, the sources, the particular plants and animals that they used. So I'll leave that up for a second because it is a little complicated. Notice that under the ingredient 3 column, if you go down a few, you'll see requires domesticate all flora. And what that means is that there is a mod called domesticate all flora, which we'll look at in a second. that does exactly that. Any plant that you scan, you can harvest, you can domesticate. So that means that some of these planets that I've listed here can now be open for us to make the particular product that we're looking for. So here's the Domesticate All Flora mods by AMF Boy. This mod is also available now on Creations Club, but it has been taken over by Z Ogre with AMF Boy's permission. So it says, no problem. So what you have seen here, both of these mods, by the way, are available on Creations. I can't testify as to how easy it's going to be to get up to 9 cargo links on an Xbox, but I hope you stay with me to see what it looks like if you could do it. In overhead view, you can see what's happening here. Here's the antibiotics coming in from Masada, snake oil, chlorine, and sedator from Schrodinger, carboxylic acids, biosuppressant, Marduk, bandages, heel paste, immobilizer and analgesic, metabolic agent and AMP, and back to antibiotics. Now, when they come in, the antibiotics is coming from that incoming link directly to the container for antibiotics. Bandages is going to bandages, heel paste to heel paste, and so on. It's only when we get over to the compound and multiplex fabricators that we're pulling things out of the bins and using them for more advanced products. Where that was kind of a problem in the, or at least in my mind, in our central production system. Here, you'll see. I mean, the output of this system is just incredible. So here we are. Here's antibiotics. Let me jump up on the things that's going to be easier to do this. The capacity of these containers is 3,000. Bandages, 3,000. Heel paste, 3,000. Immobilizer, injector, penicillin X, snake oil, analgesic poultice, AMP, infused bandages, antibiotic paste, antibiotic injector, and repairing immobilizer. Everything is completely full. I mean, this system is just incredible the way that it works. But there's not much to see here. You will miss the time in which I collect all this stuff and just turn it into credits, which is always the best part of my day. But let's go out to where all the fun is, out in the planets. Let's start from Sirius 1 and go up until we see Ixel. Here it is, over here, okay? And we're going to 3B. So let's just check for sure to make sure we're in the right place here. A local hour is 19 hours and 6 minutes. And here we see some fabricators, and let's go over and see what they are making. They are making immobilizer, which requires structural and sealant. So if we go up into our overhead view, we will see that here we have the sealant all going into this box, the structure going into this box. They go to the fabricators. They get linked here to a transfer container, and then get linked to the cargo link that goes to finished meds. But you notice something a little bit different here. There's some more things going in there, 3 more things. And it turns out that is analgesic, which is another material that can be harvested here, and we need that back at the central location for another product that we have to build there. But you also notice that there's a couple other things happening here. We have another cargo link, and this is a cargo link that was used in video 2, in which we were doing centralized production. And in that case, it's getting analgesic and sealant in this box, and then then it's transferred back to that main headquarters, which happens to also be on Sirius. But now we have a third thing happening here, which is we have analgesic and sealant connected to an outpost production collector for universal stash. And that will be what we'll cover at the end of this video. Okay, so that's what's happening here on IXL 3B. Well, our second and our last stop is going to be over here, Marduk. And Marduk is, it's not a great place, Marduk 4, because the time ratio is exactly even 1 hour. But it happens to be the only planet where you can harvest biosuppressant, which we need for one of our products that's assembled back at the main base. And just to check to confirm that, it's even a little less. It's only 50 minutes of local time. But let's go up and take a look at the animal husbandry. We haven't done that in a while. And yeah, we could make adhesive, but we're harvesting biosuppressant. And you see these little guys, which if you meet them in the field, they're nasty, but they're nice and tame right here as we get ready to harvest them. But going up again in the overhead view, we see that these are being fed with nutrient, not fiber, nutrient. So we have greenhouses doing that. And again, we have the finished meds. That's the one that we're working on. But we also have the cargo links because they need the same materials. Now, one other thing that's happening here is we have carboxylic acid, and that is also being fed back to the home base. Okay, so let's go back to the home base for a minute, and then I want to get on to talk about the universal stash issue. It's possible you may have been confused. I have two sites here, two outposts. This is the one, the finished meds is the one that we were talking about today, but I also have the cargo link version over here. Well, let's go back to the finished meds site just to wrap up the daisy chain system. Well, back here on Sirius, you can see, even though it's dark, I'm sorry about that. Since all of the processing, or 90% of the process, is being done out on those planets, we have a very clean setup here. But let's go on and take a look at what Universal Stash does in terms of simplifying our arrangements. We are headed to Charybdis 5. And Charybdis 5 is a great planet. Let me show you what we have here. Look at all the materials: antimony, gold, titanium, tungsten, copper, chlorine, lead, and water. But that's not the best part of it from my perspective. So we're here on the nice sandy desert, and you can see here's our whole setup of fabricators, just like on Serpentis. It's an exact duplicate from video 1. But one thing you notice is that there are no cargo links and no greenhouses, no animal husbandry. There's virtually nothing here except this equipment. But what we do have here is the Universal Stash. Universal Stash is, in my opinion, the best mod in Starfield, and it is available in Xbox as well as Nexus mods. What SKK of SK Mods has done is he's taken the unlimited storage container, which we know is in the basement of the lodge, and he's made it portable. So you can build a universal stash container like this one at any outpost. It links to your inventory. It links to your workbenches, like these cool ones over here from Midas Manor Home. It links to workbenches in your spaceships. So, and it is unlimited, so you can put as much of everything that you possibly want in here, and it will be available to you wherever you have one of these containers. Your weapons, your armor, it holds everything. As great as Universal Stash is just alone by having this portable container that we can take all of our stuff with us, it is this second part called the outpost production collector that is relevant for our purposes. I have put one of these outpost production collectors in every one of the sites that are producing your raw materials, and here is the map of that. This essentially map or menu of how I've set this up is a little bit different from the ones we looked at before, because here my objective was to pick the moon or planet that had the best local time, universal time ratio, thus assuring that I would get the greatest production in the same period of time. So as we now have a list of the locations, I placed one of these collectors at each one, and I basically only have one greenhouse or one animal husbandry for each of the raw materials connected to the outpost production collector. Now, the way that this will work is that those materials are being collected in universal time, so that means there's substantial quantities of them that are out there. And of course, we have no cargo links. So you say, well, how do those materials get here so that we can actually use them to build our meds? Well, that's the genius of the universal stash system. You'll notice if I go over here and switch between universal stash here and universal stash back in the lodge, there's nothing in universal stash at the moment. But if I go over to the outpost production collector and press Y, you see what's happened. All of the containers and the materials have been consolidated, all 13 of them. And you can see there's a substantial quantity of materials here. Okay, that's great, but how do we get them out of here? Well, there's only one way that's useful for us, which is I have to transfer them all to my inventory. Okay, they're in my inventory. How do I get them to the fabricators? Well, here's my transfer container, empty at the moment. I go over to my inventory and open it up. There they are. And now I'm going to transfer them all to the container. Now they are here, all here. So now, before we got here, I did the following. I'll show you. You can see very elegant. All the connections are made underneath the surface of my building space, advanced space encampments platform here. And that means that they're already beginning to produce some meds. If we take a look, yeah, there's a few penicillins already coming through. Okay, well now here is where the really fun starts, guys. The ratio, let me build a bed, and we're going to sleep. Let me put a bed down here right in front of me. And if we look at it, we see that 1 hour is 100 hours of universal time. So what happens if we say, let's sleep 4 hours? And I'll come back when we've hit it. Okay, let's see how we've done with production. And again, like I did before, the easiest way to do this is to kind of jump up on top of these containers and take a look at what's inside. Antibiotics, 3,000. Bandages, 3,000. Heel paste, 3,000. Immobilizer, 3,000. Injector, 3,000. Penicillin. You can see that all of them have been filled up to the top. And if I had larger containers, I'd have even more. So the easiest part about this, of course, is that I will go and I will clear out all of those materials from the containers, and then I can go and sell them over here at the Trade Authority, and then rinse and repeat. So why don't I do a little bit of that? Actually, I decided to empty each of the containers, or all of the containers, and I'm going to go over to this TerraView Authority laptop from Midas Manor Home, and I'm selling, and here's all of those aid items. So I'm going to sell that one as 212,000, 151,000, 200,000, 33,000. I'm not keeping track, but we must be 700,000 or 800,000. And if I get out of here and go back, and let's say I just want to sleep for just an hour, okay? Let's go back and see, and I can see already they're filled up again. And in fact, if I go over to my inventory system here, I still have unbelievable quantities. So, I could just stay here and bring in millions and millions of credits without ever having to consolidate any more containers. But you go, this is empty. I go over here and consolidate again and go back. And you see, I got huge quantities coming in. So this is like a cornucopia here, guys. And of course, I could build many, many more fabricators, but I am limited by the fact that Betamax's containers don't have that great capacity. For example, you see they only have 300 capacity. So that is a limitation. I could, of course, build towers of them, but I'm really not into that FPS killing activity. But okay, that's enough diversion. So I think you can see across these videos the comparison of the very simple, basic, but very fun serpentine system in which we manufacture or we harvest all of the plants and animals on that planet, use most of them to create meds, only have to bring in a few from outside, but it's very slow, but very beautiful process. Then we looked at another centralized production system in which we used cargo links to bring in materials. Then we looked at the daisy chain system in which we made some of the meds outsourced in effect on different planets, and then brought them in to be assembled at the final product planet. And finally here, the universal stash, which is the simplest of all for maximum profit, no cargo links. So the next step for me is I am going to continue my search to find a way that we can actually produce aid enhancers like Battlestim and Synapse Alpha, which have a much greater value than antibiotics and bandages, and also med packs and trauma packs, which are also extremely valuable. And I'm close. I think I know how we can do it. So stay tuned for my next video. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. I'll leave links to all of these mods and, if I can, the documents that show the different layouts and maps and so on. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye-bye. So it occurs to me that some of you guys may not be that familiar with how the scanning plants and animal system works, and you're going to need to be good at it because you're going to be scanning a lot of plants and animals if you want to build this factory on Serpentis 4. But the first step is we have to pick an area, and let's pick this area right here, which is the savanna. And we'll land there and see what plants and animals we can find.